Bria's coming up. I'm about to cry. Because this is it. This is, oh my goodness. Bria's next. No. This is the power, y'all. And you white folks are sitting here. I'm gonna slip in the donation. This you're getting a rare experience. And when you recognize your privilege, you put your money into that. I was sitting there thinking, even queer spaces don't have this diversity, this collection of brilliance, and it needs to happen all over. And so I'm moved because this is, I feel so a part of it. I feel just like my voice is part of all of this voice. So, this is amazing. I love you. Reach come through her cousin.
Black folks, there will be no rant today. I'm done with the rant. I do want to thank everybody for making this conference possible. We're able to breathe. We're on the last day. I'll be able to sleep tonight, so I'm very happy about that. But I think the most highest point of my experience today is I get to introduce my cousin. My first cousin, who she knew how to call a beeper at 5. Like, I was so impressed, like a 5-year-old knew how to use a phone to call a pager. So that was just, to me, a precursor of what to expect from this young lady, because I was 23 and I had just learned how to call a pager. So to see my cousin blossom into this amazing, strong woman who has a story that I am just recently learning about, I am filled with excitement, but most of all pride, because I thought I was on this secular journey by myself on my maternal side. You know, I was taking the hits and I was taking the insults and the gossip. And to know that you have someone that's coming up under you who watched and came out to you, and I'm like, what the, are you serious? And so to invite her to speak, and she accepted, because we come from an extremely conservative religious family. I'm like, your mama know you doing this? Like, there's gonna be pictures. Like, you're not gonna speak, and we hide this shit. We're not hiding this. We're out. You know, so you need to know what you're gonna be dealing with. You know, your dad is really religious, so I'm not gonna belabor this moment, because I don't want to share her with you, but I'm going to share her with you because I'm very selfish when it comes to her. But guys, just prepare for this amazing veteran who served in the Navy, Ingrid Mitchell. Come on, girl.
Now that she brought tears to my eyes. First of all, thank you to my awesome cousin Bridget. I did come up to her and say that she came out to me. She's like, yeah, so I need to talk to you. I'm an atheist. I said, girl, me too. She's like, you're an atheist? I said, girl, I'm an atheist. I just don't want to say that because I ain't know, like, y'all crazy. Like, she was back in the church and everything, and then she came out, she was like, I mean, I said, okay. Since when? I said, oh, good, I can read. Okay, so I know time is running a little short today, so I'll try to go through it fast without rushing. But, so I literally just did this PowerPoint last night because I felt like I needed a visual aid for me. So I titled it, I'm Not Crazy, I'm Crazy. And the reason I titled that is because I went through stages in my life where I was unbelievable. No one believed me when I said I have issues. I think I need to go see somebody. I need to talk to somebody. I need help. And I was denied that help for all of my childhood. So that is what my proclamation is about. I'm not crazy. I am crazy. I know I'm crazy. Like, just help me out, right? So I think this is the way to go. Yes. Okay, so I love memes. And this was one of the quotes that I found. I have traveled through madness to find me. And I think that a lot of people go through this and have no one to turn to. And I didn't in the beginning, and I ended up finding a lot of people who were willing to listen to me. It took 18 years to find someone to listen to me, right? Okay, so, hey girl, hey. So that's me, I'm cute. In the beginning, a child is seen and not heard, right? How many people have heard that? Yeah. So for 18 years, I am to be seen and not heard. I'm not able to vocalize how I feel. I'm not allowed a creative outlet. I am allowed to read the scripture. I'm allowed to watch reverends on TV. I'm allowed to read the Bible and read other authors who I don't even remember their names anymore, but yeah. So I was shielded from society. I grew up in not the best of neighborhoods. It wasn't the worst. It was city outside Detroit, right? But I wasn't allowed to interact with a lot of neighbors. I had to cross the street if, it was someone that my parents didn't feel comfortable with. Like, no, you can't walk past that house. You got to cross the street and then go. Like, it was like a whole maze to get to a 7-Eleven. So it was just, yeah. So we're going to keep it moving. Okay, so I have a question. That was about the age that I started questioning things, right? Very young. I always, like she said, 5 years old, I was already paging people. Like, I was like, oh, I need to figure this out, right? But now I can't even, she had to help me with iCloud yesterday. So I had questions about religion all my life. I had questions about everything. I can't even just focus on religion. I had questions about any and everything, and I was always silent. I was told, don't question God. God knows best. Give it to God, all this. I'm like, okay, well, I need to know what God's calendar is because this motherfucker ain't listen to me. So he seems to not have time. But yeah, don't ever, I was not allowed to speak about anything that went against their beliefs or anything that could have been viewed as a sin. Anything that would have put shame on the family, right? Well, I had a lot of questions, a lot of questions. And because I was silent, I developed a stutter. So, I could not say mother, I could not say dad, I could not say my siblings' names for years. I went to school, I could not speak. Thankfully, I had a second grade teacher, so by the time I got to second grade, I had this awesome teacher, Mrs. Henderson, who noticed that, like, she likes to talk, but, like, she just, like, she keeps, like, she'll put her hand up and then she'll put her hand down. She'll put her hand up and she'll put her hand down. And then I just, like, because I knew that the nerves were getting to me and I couldn't get the words out. So I'm just, People laugh at that now, but yeah, that's literally the face I would form trying to speak, right? So I developed a stutter, and my second grade teacher was awesome enough to say, have you ever tried singing? No, I can't sing. It doesn't matter if you can't sing. I want you to be able to speak. I want you to say what you want to say. So let's try singing. So what's the answer to question number 5? I'm like, it's the circle of life. I would just make up some shit. But all the questions I would answer in a song. And so a lot of times people wonder, like, why I'm always humming. I'm getting my stutters out, right? So, that awkward moment when you think you're important to someone and you're not. And I'm not saying that I'm not necessarily important, but I didn't feel important. I didn't feel noticed. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel like anyone cared about my thoughts. I thought that I was stupid, for lack of better words. I thought I was stupid. I was smart. I was book smart. I had no common sense. Zero common sense, right? So, why won't they love me? Why won't they love me? By this time, I never heard those words. Who grew up with their parents saying, I love you, consistently? I still have not heard those words. I am 37 years old. I have not heard those words. Not I, it's third person. We love you. You know we love you. Do I know we love you? No, I don't. So I need you to say that to me. I need to know that you love me, right? So there was an absence of affection. And these are just some of the stages I'm going through. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of skipping over things, but I just want to stay on key. But anyway, so by this time is when I was definitely, if you notice, and the reason why I put pictures of myself up, because I want you to notice the decline. If you notice the earlier pictures, I'm smiling, I'm happy, I'm this and that and the other. This is when my smile started to get crooked, right? So the half smile, I don't want to be in pictures. Later on in life, you see I'm hiding behind things, trying to just like get my eyeball in there, and then that's it. I still kind of do that today. I'm not a fan of photography. My dad's a photographer. So I hide from the camera a lot. So absence of affection. My parents were not huggers. They barely hold their hands. It was like, hurry up, cross the street. So there was no leaning on my mom's shoulder. I remember there were times that she would just push me off so that I would get grease on her dress. There was never a time that I could just, to this day, I feel weird hugging my mom. I tell her, like, she gives me the church hug. I'm like, why do I get the church pat? So it was just a time where I didn't know that there was such a thing as affection. I thought it was reserved for people that were special. Right? Okay. Body shaming. At this point, I could have swore I was a ton. I knew I was 1,000 pounds. Why? Because my parents told me so. Right? And I'm not trying to say this for you guys to feel sorry for me. I want you to know that I know that some people in here have probably heard similar things, and that you're not alone. And that I'm still standing here. Right? And I feel good. So, the body shaming. You're fat. No one's ever going to love you. You're never going to find a husband. I remember I asked my mom one day, well, you're not skinny either. And she looked at me and, like, without even a pause, I lived my good years I was thin. You are only 12 years old. You got a long way to go. No one's ever going to love you at this size. Then I said, well, there was ballet classes. I don't know if you remember that place off of, I think it was like a rec center. Anyway, they had ballet class. I saw a sign. I said, Mom, okay, I got it. Can I do ballet? I can do this, right? I know you want me to get into stuff. I know you want me to do some after school stuff. You're not going to do ballet. You can do tap dance and that'll help you lose weight. Well, now I don't want to do shit now. Never mind. I'm like, give me a fucking piece of cake. So I'm starting to fade. At that point, I'm like, well, hell, there's nothing I can do to please you. So I withdraw. By this point, they noticed that withdrawal and that I was still asking questions. I was not participating in church. I was not doing anything that really was pleasing them except for getting good grades. So they're like, well, she's excelling at that. Let's move her to a private school, a religious school. Let's take her out of this public sector. She's too good for this. So let's put her in this private religious school who I will isolate me because I was one of the only black people there. I think it was like 20 of us in the total, like a couple thousand, right? I was only the second one in my class. They isolated me. My teachers would not help me. Now, mind you, I was a straight A student. Straight A student all the way through 5th grade. I was up for double promotion, which my parents declined because they wanted me to go through the entire school. So, take your time. Don't rush it. Okay, whatever. I was in detention almost every week. Who do you think was in that detention with me? All the other black kids who were in that school. All the other black kids who were in that school were sitting in that detention every day until 5:30 p.m. with me. We're like, well, what'd you do? Girl, I looked at the wrong, or I said something and she took it the wrong way. Stuff like that. Okay? Complete disrespect. My grades started failing. They used scare straight tactics. So I went from an honor roll student to a barely passing student by the time I was in junior high. The scare tactics, I'll just give you one example because, again, I don't want to belabor you with all this, but one of the scare tactics was, first of all, we had chapel every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we had to sit in this auditorium and have church again that I just left on Sunday. And, of course, we're passing notes the whole time. And one of the things was the topic of abortion. So this guest speaker came in. Excuse me. This guest speaker came in and he had a whole PowerPoint presentation. And he was speaking about abortion. And I'm sitting there, I'm 12 years old. Why do I need to know about this right now? And it wasn't enough to just speak on it. He had visual aids too. 12 years old. I'm shown aborted babies. And described what was done to those children. The fetus. Right? So I'm looking up at the screen, images I will never forget to scare you into abstinence and into never getting an abortion. Well, I just didn't understand it, I guess. At that time, I just didn't understand why you would do that to children. And without their parents' permission. My parents still to this day don't know that we sat in the chapel and looked at body parts being torn off, babies burned, things that I don't understand why that happened. I didn't know the backstory. I didn't know this person was raped. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't understand abortion, right? And so they're putting all this into your head and telling you that, everything's a sin, of course. That's when I started experiencing my first episodes. Episodes are, and let me throw a disclaimer out there, I'm not a mental health professional. So don't be going back and well, she said we should do it this way or this way. No. If you have questions, Google it. Or go to a mental health professional. So my first episode came like nothing I've ever felt before. It was just a heaviness and a need to just cry. A need to just want to not live anymore. I had to get off this earth. I didn't want to be here anymore. I was like, I don't understand anything. I don't get it. I don't know why people don't like me. If people don't like me anyway, then why do I need to be here? If you don't want me here, then I'll make it easier for you. This is when I would go into my closet and just cry for hours. I got to the point where I started throwing stuff. My mom could not handle me anymore. Every time she came in the room, I'm throwing things at her. I'm lighting things on fire. I'm cutting at this point. She thought nothing of it. Okay? This is when the suicidal thoughts became more and more frequent. So I would come home and I would carve things into my leg. I would try to slice my wrist, but I would panic because I was still worried about her. I didn't want to hurt her. So all through this, I'm still being selfless. I can't be selfish. It's what's mom going to do? She's going to be so mad at me for dying. Okay. Less sport. And I just got pissed. Notice the change in expression. I was told to smile. I said, I am smiling. So, after that, I was unruly, so they had to take me out of the private school system, put me back in public school. Like, this is where you belong, man. So, I moved me out of state, where a depressed girl was taken away from all the friends that she had. I only had 2, but they were there. They were there. And I was left alone with the people who I didn't even feel like they loved me. So I'm stuck in Ohio, with people who don't get me, people who don't want to get me, and a bunch of strangers. So, I remember being about 15 years old. And I asked my parents, can I speak with you? I had the balls to get up and say, I want to talk to you. 15 years old, I'm terrified of my parents. I am terrified. I'm still stuttering. I'm still got a little bit of it left in me, right? But I sat them down at the dining room table. I said, I'm depressed. What are you depressed about, Ingrid? I don't know. I just think I'm depressed. Like, I'm sad all the time. I'm crying. Like, don't you notice? And they're like, pray on it. Pray on it. I'm like, pray about it. I was like, look, I've been praying for like 15 years. Ain't shit happening. Again, can you check his calendar? Because he's not responsive. And I asked them, can I just please go see somebody? Can I talk to somebody about this? Like, because I don't feel like I have anywhere to go. They said no. Go back in there, read the Bible, pray on it, and do better, pretty much. So I had no one to turn to, so I turned to pen and paper. For some reason, I refused to give up. I refused to give up. I think it was more of, I'm just naturally a competitor. I always want to prove to myself that I can do it. So I refused to give up. So I turned to pen and paper. And I started writing down every thought that I had, even if it was terrible. I started writing myself letters. I started writing other people letters. And even though they were only a couple hours away, I have a notebook about this big of just letters. That was part of how I got through my high school. I found a way out. I said, you know what? I walked into the recruiting office at 16 years old. I said, I want to sign up for the Marines. It was a Navy recruiting office. Yeah, come on in, have a seat right here. This is everything. I said, you guys work with the Marines, right? I heard you guys work with the Marines. They said, absolutely we do. Come on in, have a seat. I said, hey, okay. I said, how old you got to be? They said, well, you got to be 18 to join. If you're 17, your parents can sign you over. I said, shit. But my dad was a veteran, so I used that. I said, all right, give me a minute. So I went home and explained to my parents what I wanted to do, and I just said I wanted to continue the tradition. I said, well, nobody else is going. I'm the next generation. I believe I can do it. I like to do it. And they laughed and told me I would never make it to boot camp. Y'all think I'm playing? Okay, so they said I would never make it to boot camp, and my father happily signed over the papers on my 17th birthday. I said, great. I'm out. I left a week after high school graduation. I was supposed to leave in November. I said, I was supposed to be a journalist. They said, well, this one doesn't open up until November. I said, hold up. What else you got? He said, well, we got this. We have, it was supposed to be gas turbine engineer. Cool. When do I leave? He said, you can leave as early as July. Better. Okay. Then my dad came in and said, she's not going to be, that's not a job for a lady. You're not going to be down there with all those men. And So, had to change jobs in order to go into the Navy. That was the deal. If you want to go into the Navy, you have to change your career. All right, what do you want me to be, Dad? Get into personnel, HR, admin. That's what girls do. Okay. Well, this is perfect because guess what? The date moved up to June. Give me that June. I was out. I graduated. Bye, bitch. I'm out. I got on that bus. They waving. I'm like, fuck you. I ain't got shit else to say. I got in and I got the fuck out, right? Got through boot camp. Got through everything. I was happy as a fucking clam. Got through my schooling. And then when I got to my first duty station, I realized, where does everybody have to go when they need something? Where do you have pay issues? Yeah. The man came to me. Hey, boo. So I didn't have to be in no engine room to find a man. He came straight to me. And I can check all your shit. Oh, you married? No. You got 3 kids? No. It was great. I said, oh shit, he actually came through and didn't even know it. So, I got in. It was fun for a little bit. I got my freedom. But it was still restricted. I couldn't do the shit that I really wanted to do, right? So one day I got validation. And it came in a stranger's way. I was dating someone and we were in a heated argument and I had an episode right in front of him. I broke down. I started throwing things. I broke his glass table. I pretty much broke everything in the house. When I finished that, I went outside and I started pulling up his grass with my hands. Like, fuck that, you don't deserve a lawn either. So I went out there and I started pulling up his shit. And he just stood over me. He was like, Ingrid, you need to get help. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not trying to push you away, but you need to get help. And I stopped. That was the first time someone acknowledged it. 18 years old. 18 years old. And it took damn near a stranger. He didn't know me that well. It took a stranger to say, I see you. We may be fucked up, but I see you. I went to get help. I went to a military therapist, because that's where you have to go. And then I realized that everything you say to a military therapist could be going back to your commanding officer. So if you feel that you're crazy, you can't really say you're crazy. I can't tell them I'm having suicidal thoughts because they will lock you the fuck up. And then everybody else will know about it. Everybody else will know about it, right? Okay. So there's a stigma there too. I didn't get much help because I could not express myself. And then I declared myself healthy and they said, okay. I told the therapist, I said, I'm good. You can take me off meds. I'm good. Let me go. Are you sure? Mm-hmm. So you can do that in the military, right? So in response, I was cleared to transfer and ended up getting sent over to a hostile area. That's perfect. Like, okay, so now I'm just like, again, harnessing all of this. Everything's building up. I'm in my 20s now. I'm in the middle of fire, literal bricks being thrown at us. I'm terrified. I'm still young. I'm in a foreign country. We're not well liked there right now. Well, back then, right? So it wasn't the escape I thought it was going to be. I got out. I met someone. Is my timer? Damn. Okay, so I got out and I got you. I'm gonna wrap it up real fast, y'all. Okay, so I got out and I started seeking professional help outside of the military. I left the VA, I left all that shit behind, and I started seeking professional help. The woman who follows the crowd usually goes no further than the crowd. The woman who walks alone is likely to find herself in places no one has ever been before. I love that quote. I did it without even knowing it. I quit following that crowd. I quit listening to people. Once I got free, I held on to that freedom. And I never really look back, although it's still a struggle. But this was around a time that I just started moving into my own, being me, accepting who I was and not worried about who loved me and who didn't, who cared about me and who didn't. I'm wrapping this up now. The struggle is real. All right? One thing people need to know, this isn't something that you just get over. Depression isn't something that you can just sweep under the rug. Depression isn't something that just comes and goes. It is here. You are fighting the battle every single day, every single second of your life. You're trying to put a smile on your face. You're trying to please others because you can't really dig it up for yourself, right? And that brings me joy to make you happy. So if I can make you happy, then that makes me happy. Sounds weird, but that's how it works with me. So I have a few tips. When you go down, have a plan to get back up. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. It's something that you have to live with the rest of your life. Just like any other disease that's not curable, right? You're going to live with this for the rest of your life. Pay attention to your triggers. Know what sets you off. Get it out. That is your next step. When you know it's coming, get it out. Find a safe place to get it out. Release it. Holding it up is only going to make it worse. Learn best practices for coping for you. Everyone doesn't cope the same. Everyone doesn't have the same method. I color, I sing, I clean. I have my ways of just getting myself back into, I guess, normalcy. Create an outlet for yourself, no matter what that is, and then get your ass back up. Don't stay down. Do not stay down. That's the worst thing you can do, is sit there and just say, well, this is who I am, and I have to just be this person, and I'm going to just keep crying, keep crying, keep crying. Again, it's okay to let it out, but don't stay there. Find your way of getting back up and turn to that. Someone should always be on standby for you. Here's my standby. She knows. If you need I love you, baby cousin. Anything you need, you let me know. Are you okay? Yes, you do. Are you okay? I'm fine. Okay, I'm just checking on you. She's my standby. I have two others. My boyfriend even knows if he can't handle it, he knows who to turn to, right? So I have a plan. Know that you're not sad. You are ill. There's a big difference, okay? My cat passed away. I was sad. I was sad as hell. I cried. I wasn't depressed. I was sad. What I am right now is I'm ill. Okay? It's a big difference, and people need to acknowledge that. Okay? Because people always want you to just go, why are you always so depressed? Motherfucker, because that's what I am. What the fuck? Anyway. Okay, so logging on. Remove the toxins. Toxins can be anything. It could be a routine. It could be people. It could be objects. It could be anything. Remove that shit ASAP. I meditate. Again, these are all my personal takeaways. I meditate because I have to clear my mind. And wherever that leads me, I let it take me there. Right? Vent. Get that shit out. Travel. People are like, I ain't have money to travel. If you have a car, if you get a bus, you can go 15 miles. Just get the fuck out. Get a hobby. I used to hate that word. What's your hobby? Motherfucker, nothing. I don't do shit. Like, I hate that word. But now I see the benefit of it. Find a hobby. Even if it's just reading a book. Even if it's watching a movie. I'll be the first to say, like, when I go through my spells sometimes, I will watch a movie and force myself to cry. Because I can cry for that. I never know why I'm crying. There's no real specific reason. You just feel down and you just want to get it out. So I'm like, well, I'll just watch this Love Actually real quick. And I'll get this out of my system. Right? Okay, avoid social media. When you're down. I swear to you, do not go on social media. First of all, they lie. You ain't fucking traveling the world all damn day, every damn day. I don't believe you. I don't give a damn about your kid going to school. Look at his outfit. I don't believe you. You just cussed his ass out 5 seconds before because he wouldn't stand still. So stay off of social media. And we were laughing about this shit last night, so it's one of my favorite things. When your coworkers automatically assume that you're a Christian just because you're a good person when you're actually a godless heathen, that is me. I swear I get so many join my church pamphlets underneath my door, and I'm in human resources by the way, right? I'm still there. But I'm just gonna wrap it up by saying, I know I didn't touch much on me coming out. I did come out to my parents. They pretty much told me that I was going to hell. I said, okay, cool. I'll see you there. So it was hard, especially someone going through a mental illness. It was very hard. It took everything in me to sit there and tell them that I no longer want to be on your trajectory. I no longer want to be a part of your plan. I no longer want to be in this organization. But the funny thing is I never was. I've always doubted. I just didn't have the balls to say it. From day one. And we was laughing about this last night, or the night before, because I couldn't speak in tongues. I was like, shabba blah 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 blah. And I said, you ain't got it. I was like, okay, shit. So I was thinking the dirtiest thoughts in church all the time. And yeah, I was never there. I was never there, and I know there's a lot of people here that can probably relate to that. And if you are fearing coming out, if you are fearing owning your mental illness, please don't. My new motto is fear no one. There's nothing they can do to you. What's the worst they're going to say? You going to hell. Okay. Yeah, and I know, shit, come on. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. All right, we related, y'all. Okay, I'm done, but I appreciate your time. I wish I could go into more.
And I'm just glad that you said yes, and we're glad to have another heathen on our side.